Well, I think perhaps last winter I realised that I must make a decision soon if I was going to do something. This idea has been at the back of my mind for almost 10 years, I should think. But it's one of those rosy little dreams that you bring out and dust and put it away again.
Audrey Sunter, 38, a housewife and mother of two boys aged 13 and 15, facing a selection board at the start of a new life. She's one of 50 married women in Britain now pioneering an experiment in education. After 17 years as a housewife, she's beginning 4 years of part-time training to become a full-time teacher. Like the other 24 married women on her course, she has no previous teaching experience. For all of them, this is the challenge of starting late.
I felt that I wanted to do something that had some end product. I felt that I ought to have more interests outside the home, but I wanted a profession rather than a job. Not because I was bored in the house. I'm not the sort of person who's normally easily bored. But I've done that for a long time now, and I feel that it's time to do something completely new.
Doing something new starts here for a handful of determined women like Audrey Sunter. This is Ostler College, Huddersfield. Here, 24 Yorkshire housewives aged between 27 and 50 are doing what millions of other women only talk about. They're resolved to be individuals as well as mothers and wives.
It's a revolution rooted on the traditional. For Ostler, a teacher's training college with 340 young students, sits on top of Huddersfield Co-op.
We are guinea pigs. We were told at the beginning of the course that we were guinea pigs, because on us rests the responsibility of any future courses that may be held. If we fail the expectations, then they won't continue these courses.
10:30 Tuesday morning. The 24 successful candidates for the Married Women's course arrive at the college to start their week as students via the electrical appliance and furniture departments. The course at Ostler has been carefully planned by Principal George Wilson to dovetail with the home timetable.
Lectures start at just before 11 in the morning and end just after 3. Monday is a free day, but the concessions stop there. In 1971, after 4 years, these women will take the same examinations that the young students sit after 3. The free wash day and late morning start will make it possible for housewives to help plug Britain's teacher gap. Over 200 of them are taking similar courses starting this year at 7 colleges of education throughout the country.
We set up this course because we, of all people, see the bad effects of the shortage of teachers, which is very serious indeed. But on the positive side, I would say it was because we believe that married women have a rather special contribution to make to the education of children.
Professor Basil Fletcher is director of the Institute of Education at Leeds University and responsible for colleges of education in the Leeds area, including Ostler. He's also a keen supporter of the Married Women's scheme.
They've brought up a family. They don't have to learn about child development from books, theoretically. They know it at first hand. They know the world more than they would have known it when they were quite young. They've got a balanced outlook on life. They are more capable of bringing up children, I would say, towards maturity, because education doesn't only consist in giving people knowledge and skills. You've got to help them to grow up to be satisfactory adults, and I think married women can help here particularly.
Well, I wanted to teach. I suppose it's as simple as that. But we had a little family conference, and we all decided that it would be a good idea, and we decided to go into it. Admittedly, it is a bit of a problem when you have small children, but I think you just have to sort it out and do as best. Take care of the probabilities, and the possibilities will have to take care of themselves, as it were.
Peggy South is 33. She has 2 girls aged 4 and 7. Her husband, an ex-professional footballer, isn't part of the breakfast rush because he works nights so he can be at home when the children come in from school. Peggy South's home in Whalley, near Halifax, gives her an hour's bus journey to and from Ostler College every day. For her, starting late on a new career has meant changing the whole pattern of life.
It's much busier, of course, but I think on the whole it's happier. It's a very full sort of life, and everybody seems to be much brighter. You make you make more use of the time you have together. We had a lot of time together before. It's sort of concentrated now, and we make more use of it. I'm having to overcome a great feeling of guilt as far as I'm concerned, because I do feel this, but I'm going to a lot of trouble to try and make sure that nobody loses out on it. Not only from the material point of view, but from the general happiness of the family. I think you can sort it out if you're very, very careful, but there again, nobody has the wisdom of Solomon. You just do the best you can. And then I get the children ready and take them down to the school, because of course Wendy's only 4 and she really needs taking. Then I know that they're there as well, you see. Well, really, I felt that apart from bringing the children up, I just wasn't living. And I would sort of change the furniture around, just for a change. You know, we'd come home and find me exhausted because I'd moved the dresser once again, or the bed. And he knew that I was frustrated, and he was highly delighted when I decided to do this. You can read books, which I have done quite a lot, and I've done quite a lot of arty-crafty things at home, which sort of passes the time, but there's no end product to it. You haven't got an end in view, which I think is better. It's better if you have an end in view. There's more purpose to life, as it were. It may sound very noble and and so forth, but that's how I feel about it anyway.
With the children in school, there's just time to get home, pick up the lecture notes and dash off to school herself.
Especially nowadays, when, on the whole, women are better educated, and they're taught to think for themselves, as they weren't at one stage. And they do need something else. I've spoken to quite a lot of women who find it very frustrating never to be asked for their opinion on various things, however worthless it is when it comes across, but it's there. They feel a little bit more important. This thing is always cropping up. Oh, are you just a housewife? Well, if you are just a housewife, if you're happy being a housewife, this can be satisfying for the woman who is happy doing housewife, and I'm not decrying it. I don't mean that the dim ones should stay at home and do housework and the rest should have a career besides. This is not what I mean at all. It's up to the person and what they feel. If they feel they want something else, then I think they should be able to. And I can't give you the reason for it, but it's firmly fixed in my mind that eventually I will teach.
The following questions might make an interesting self-analysis for you as teachers in training. Can you accept all children into your warm, earnest concern, no matter how runny their noses or how smelly their clothes, no matter how kinky their hair or how dark their skin?
Kenneth Heggie lectures in education. His What is a Child questionnaire for teachers gets a sympathetic hearing from women with a good few years' personal experience of the subject.
Can you respond to a child's annoying behavior as a symptom of need for help, rather than as a symptom of willful meanness? Can you accept each child's rate of learning?
I don't feel that I have any particular qualifications for it. I'm hoping the course will give me that. I think you have to be determined, though, that you're going to go through with it and pick up all the knowledge that they can give you at the college.
I feel I want to be with children. I'm far happier with children than with grown-ups. And I feel I've got a lot to offer. I hope so, anyway, through my experience with my own children.
Perhaps more significant than any of the above is the teacher's ability to share his humanity with the children. Many of the skills of teaching are developed through experience, and one cannot know whether one can respond appropriately until one tries them out.
I don't think there's going to be anything substandard about us. I think by the time we've finished, they will have sort of got us up to the level of the full-time students. Besides, we've so much more experience of living than the 18-year-olds have.
And now comes the plum. Is your preparation as modern as the car or house you would one day like to own?
Modernity isn't all that easy to come by, even in a new college. For the married women, a change of lecture can involve a damp and draughty step into the past. In a back street 100 yards down the road from Osler is the 19th century fraternity hall, now pressed into service as an overflow classroom for a crowded college. Hanging your coat on the classroom wall and watched over by a Victorian alderman, it's an uncomfortably apt setting for reading a 2,500-year-old Greek play.
Having found what he wanted. Then she picks up the dry earth in her hands and pouring out of a fine bronze urn she's brought.
These women have chosen to specialize in English as the main subject for 3 hours each week. Others have opted for art or for a combination of history and geography. Apart from compulsory education and general English lectures, the remaining 9 hours studies per week are taken up with subjects like child drama or music.
The flaming sun was high in the top of the sky and the heat was blazing.
Stand by, everybody. 5 seconds. Roll tape.
Roll tape.
Cue music. Flip caption. Flip caption. A program on child development by Peter Barnwell. Flip caption. Director M.D. McClure. Ready on 1. Okay, 1. Okay. Coming to you. Take 1. Fade music. Very nice. Ready to cue talent. Cue talent. Take 3.
In this program, we shall be looking together
Very
at
nice.
some aspects of development which take place in the first year of life.
This is the shinier side of the coin, Ostler's £12,000 closed-circuit television system. The married women, with a collective family of 55 children, enjoy 20 minutes of nostalgia and watch a program produced by the Ostler studio on child development. But it's not just an occasion for reminiscent home movies. After the program comes a hard-headed discussion and a questionnaire.
I want to outline the areas of development.
For mothers turned teachers and child psychologists, even a hidden chocolate drop takes on significance.
Keep it there. Coming to you, 3. Take 3.
There you are.
Very nice.
Oh, isn't that
That's right. Give him a bit of headroom. That's
nice.
good. That's
Do you want
better.
more?
That's
Well, I'm
better.
going to be mean this time. I wonder if you could put her down on the ground, Mrs. Blythe. There it is.
I'm holding on you,
What?
3. That's fine, 3.
It's gone. Where is it? Where's it gone to? Where's it gone to? Hmm? There it is. Clever girl. Clever girl. Oh, I wish you could have seen her face. There goes that mean man putting it down. Look, there it is. Now, it's...
What indications did you see that she did understand?
Mr. Barnwell asked her, did you want a drink? And immediately her response was, the glass with the milk in. And then when that was sort of known to her, the next response was, my cup, that's where I get my drink from.
Yes.
And I think it was it was really brought out well, was this, with her.
Can we go on now to item 3? From your own experience, from your own children, bringing up your own babies, did you consider that you should cuddle them?
No, I don't think there's much point in having a baby. If you're just going to sort of leave it, it becomes a piece of furniture, not a human being.
Although the entrance requirement for the course is 5 GCE O-levels, the passion of this discussion couldn't be less academic.
Let them lie peacefully when they're asleep. Don't disturb them if they're asleep, but for goodness sake, give them a good cuddle now and again.
Yes.
There's a world of good. And it gets a response, particularly from boys.
You get a lot of, oh, I envy you, what a good idea, I wish I could do it, I wish I'd thought of that, or perhaps I will, if you make a success of it.
1:30, a Tuesday afternoon. For most of these mothers, the pattern of a weekday afternoon has probably found them finishing the washing up and tuning in for Listen with Mother. In their new lives, this Tuesday means a bus trip.
This is a class in environmental studies, a modern primary school technique for teaching history and geography by relating them to the local area. On this afternoon's agenda are map reading, geology, and a Bronze Age settlement, all 3 miles and 1,000 feet above Huddersfield on Castle Hill, and all 1,000 miles from the usual routine for Mrs. Sunter.
Well, having been purely a housewife for 17 years, Obviously, it's going to be a tremendous change. It is already. Already, life is so full and so busy and exciting. Obviously, it won't go on at this level, but in the meantime, it's. I wouldn't change my life with anybody.
This afternoon, the new life means wind-battered perms and a hike up 77 steps to the open-air classroom. Professor Fletcher emphasizes the importance of this sort of training.
They really want to do something a little more exciting than they've been able to do in the past. Their minds have gone a bit fallow. They're getting a bit dull. And they've got a long number of years ahead of them to look forward to. They're anxious to take part in practical activities of various kinds, and generally make their minds alive once again. And of course, if they succeed in doing this, this will also mean that they're jolly good teachers.
Now, we're due south of Huddersfield, on the top of Castle Hill. We should be able to pick out two very prominent features of the landscape. The one which is, well, really hidden now behind this gathering gloom on the far side.
I feel I've got quite a few years with which I'd like to do something. I don't want to just waste these years. It seems the best way of actually giving something to the community, contributing something.
Up here in the wind and the exhilaration of a new purpose, idealism finds plenty of nourishment. It's just 3 weeks since the women started their new lives. There are still 4 years between them and the realities of daily teaching.
Certainly, the realities for the teaching profession are harsh enough. A record 200,000 new school children this year. But next year, fewer teachers to cope with them. 70 out of every 100 trainee teachers are women. But after 3 years, only 47 of them are still teaching. After 6 years, they've dwindled to 30. It's in the midst of this kind of crisis that these married women will become teachers.
Now I want to take a really deep breath and want the air to go right down to the bottom of your rib cage. Good. Hold it for a moment and let it go. Nice little pieces. Nice and easy. It's hard, actually. Now, as you pass somebody else, will you just be aware of them, touch them, or look at them, so that we are a group and not individuals. Smile at them, that's nice.
Zoe Dawson and her smiling class of 9 of the more courageous married women. This is drama, an adventurous mixture of improvised movement and speech. Quite apart from its practical value as a teaching method, it's an ideal way for housewives to develop confidence for facing a class of rebellious children. But adjustment has its problems for those who feel like Elaine Wood.
A little embarrassed, a little stiff. It's very hard to forget everything round about and enter into the activity that you're supposed to be doing. But I enjoy it. I think it would be a good thing for us going in for infant teaching to help us, to give us confidence to stand in front of a class of 40 5-year-olds. I think this kind of drama training will be very helpful in that respect.
Well, I think my main reason for choosing this was for myself. I think I'm going to gain a lot from it for myself. If you can enter into this fully, get yourself so involved with it that you forget how embarrassed you felt about doing it, then that's what you've gained from it. It's extends your personality, I suppose. It gives you more confidence.
And after that, we had to dance with these pieces of string. She brought a piece of string for all of us, all different. You know, some hairy and some long and some short and some clean and some dirty.
For Elaine Wood, home from college, movement and the dance class are tough subjects to sell at the tea table over the beans on toast.
You know, they'd knock on the door and pretend that they could sell it.
That the sort of thing you'll do at school, Gath?
No.
No? I think probably the main thing that I noticed was that we were getting up a little bit earlier in the morning to probably let Elaine do a little more housework before I went off to work, and obviously going to bed much later, largely to allow her to catch up on her reading and on the writing of her notes. I think my only worry is that Elaine doesn't find it too much, mate. I find the extra working at home too much for her, so. And so far it's...
And become very bad-tempered, even more so than I am now.
Oh, she'll soon hear about it if I do get neglected, but so far I haven't noticed any sign of it.
Yes, that's right, Monday the 6th of February, if you'd just like to make a note of it. Yes, the 6th.
He used to leave me to work, and now I find that I'm leaving him watching television while I come out and do the work.
Locking out Coronation Street to do the homework in the kitchen is a novel sacrifice.
I find I can do the written work because I know it has to be done quite easily and write up the notes, but the readings, it's a bit harder. I don't think we've got into the routine of it yet. I read for half an hour and then I must jump up and do a little bit of something before I can settle down again. I suppose there'll be days when he'll dash out without a button on or something like that, but I would probably have done it before. And now I probably tend to overlook it, or he'll remind me and I put it on one side, meaning to do it when I've written up the last lot of notes and find that I never get back to it.
Well, we don't really know them. They haven't joined in anything in the college. They don't come in the common room.
To the students' common room at Oastler, the married women who've arrived at that college are strangers from another generation. For the 340 students between 18 and 21 training here to be teachers, the profession is a long way from being an eagerly awaited release to a second life. It's a first job, and one they anticipate with many misgivings. They have reservations, too, about the married women.
They sit in the dining room mostly, I think, but we just don't know them.
This is the only point of contact between the generations of students, the communal dining hall. But even here, the married women's table is a separate island in a sea of strange faces.
But it depends why they've come to college. If they've just come because they're bored with housekeeping and they can't think of anything else, they're not going to make very good teachers. And if they've come with enthusiasm, by the end of 4 years here, they're going to have lost it all.
I think you've got to be very careful when you're dealing with these married women, as yet we don't know the conditions they're here on. They're here for 4 years. This is all we know. We don't know what standard of work they're getting to, how much teaching they're going to do. But I don't think you can say that because they're mothers, because they've had children of their own, I don't think you can say they're qualified to teach.
Well, I think the main difficulty that they'll find is that to start doing academic work after you've been away from it for so long, 15 to 20 years, it's terribly difficult, and I don't think, unless you are older, you can't appreciate this. I've been teaching before, but I've been teaching PE and games. This is physical activity. I haven't used my brain for years. And what do you mean I'm not using it yet?
You're still not using it, Nick, let's face it.
No, but it is. It's terribly difficult. I can't concentrate for 3 hours, the examination paper time. By the end of an hour and a half, I've written myself out. I don't want to do any more. And I think these older women will find the same problem.
Well, I think one of the most valid points to be made is the fact that if they can create places for married women, then they can create places for young men. And I think it's much more logical to create places for young men when you consider the fact that they have the whole of their lives to dedicate to the teaching career.
For a year, everything's nice and, you know, exciting and interesting, new. It's changed from the dull routine of housekeeping. But after a year, they'll begin to get more and more fed up with things. Apathy will set in, and I just don't think they'll finish the course.
These married women got this 4 years. After 2, they'll have had enough, I can tell you. They must have done.
A great deal of time.
I don't think my conscience would allow me to back down now. You know, having taken a precious place, I mean, so many other women wanted to do it, and having been allocated one of these places, I would feel that I was letting everyone down.
4 years, 1,000 evenings of writing up the day's lectures at home on the kitchen table. Will they stick it? Professor Fletcher.
I'm very optimistic that they'll stay the course. In fact, I'm more optimistic than the minister is himself. I think women, having embarked on this course, having taken the decision, which is a rather difficult one to take, I don't think they'll give this up very easily.
Well, if I look to the end of it, I could never picture myself being a teacher, really. But at one time, I couldn't picture myself being in college. But I think if you sort of do it from day to day and just live each day and sort of get on with it, that's the way you have to do it. I want to be me. I don't just want to be a mother or somebody's wife. I want to be me and do something myself.